2025 was a huge year for video games, not just because they were great games, but because amazing games came from every corner of the world. Different styles, different philosophies, different skills, and all landing in the same year. Europe made some serious noise at the highest level. Expedition 33 grabbed the Game of the Year spotlight with its bold design and confident vision. On top of that, Europe delivered deep single-player experiences like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, while also dominating multiplayer conversation with massive hits like Battlefield 6 and Ark Raiders. North America, on the other hand, showed its strength through creativity and scale. Indie and AA titles stood out in a big way. Hades 2 ranked among the highest rated games of the year. At the same time, North America still dominated the business side of gaming, with sports giants like EA Sports FC25 pulling in enormous player numbers and revenue. Asia delivered some of the year's most talked about releases. From big-name launches like Death Stranding 2 to stylish action titles like Stellar Blade, the region continued to shape global trends. Nintendo also made waves with Donkey Kong Bonanza, while Capcom's massive launch of Monster Hunter Wilds reminded everyone just how powerful Asian studios are when it comes to worldwide appeal. So that got me thinking, if we look at critical acclaim, player popularity, sales, and overall impact, which continent actually had the best year in gaming? In this video, I'm breaking it all down to find out which part of the world truly dominated gaming in 2025. And just to be clear, this is all for fun. Great games are great games, no matter where they come from. This isn't about proving one continent is better than another. It's a fun way to look back at an amazing year of gaming. Before we get into the results, let's quickly go over the rules. I'm comparing the continents across 7 different categories. For each category, the continent that finishes first gets 2 points, second place gets 1 point, and third place gets 0. Here are the 7 categories I'm using: the Game Awards, Metacritic Critic Score, Metacritic User Score, most sold games on consoles in the US and Europe, most sold console games in Japan, most sold games on Steam globally, and most played games on Steam globally. One important rule, I'm looking at where the games were developed, not the publisher. So for example, Assassin's Creed Shadows is a Ubisoft game. Ubisoft's headquarters is in France, but the game was developed by Ubisoft Quebec. So for this video, that counts as a North American release. I'm only comparing 3 continents because realistically, these are the major powerhouses of modern gaming. North America includes developers based mainly in the US and Canada. Europe includes countries that are geographically European, like the UK, France, Germany, Spain, Italy, Sweden, and yes, I'm also counting Russia as part of Europe. Asia covers developers mainly from Japan, South Korea, and China. The only major title released outside of these regions in 2025 was Hollow Knight Silksong that was developed in Australia. So it's fair to say that Europe, North America, and Asia are the 3 big players. First, let's start with the easiest category, Game of the Year, including all the nominees. There were 6 games nominated in total. One of them was Hollow Knight Silksong, developed in Australia. Australia absolutely deserves recognition here, but for this video, I'm focusing only on Europe, North America, and Asia. So I won't be assigning points outside those top 3. Looking at the remaining nominees, the continental split is actually very clear. Europe had 2 nominees, Expedition 33, developed in France, and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, developed in Czechia, also known as Czech Republic or formerly known as Czech Republic. Asia also had 2 nominees, both Japanese developed games, Donkey Kong Bonanza and Death Stranding 2. North America, on the other hand, only had one nominee, Hades 2, that was developed in the United States. So even before we get to the winner, Europe and Asia were already tied for the most Game of the Year nominations. But then comes the result. Expedition 33 didn't just get nominated, it won Game of the Year, and it also picked up several additional awards, making it the game that has won the most game awards in history. And that's why it's easy to say that Europe was the most successful continent at the Game Awards. Because of that, this category is pretty straightforward. Europe takes first place and gets 2 points. Asia finishes second and gets 1 point, and North America finishes third and gets 0. Next up, we are looking at Metacritic critic scores. And for this category, I'm focusing on the top 15 highest rated games of 2025. And I'm not going to include remakes or remasters, only games that were new in 2025. And here I want to emphasize critical acclaim, not just who made the list. So instead of a simple ranking, I'm using a point system where the winner of this category gets the most points. So the winner gets 25 points, second place gets 20, third place gets 16, and so on. And the 15th place finish gets 1 point. And in case there's a tie, all of those games tied will get the same amount of points. So in 11th place, we have a 5-game tie of games that all scored 88 points in Metacritic. First up, Monster Hunter Wilds, developed in Japan, earning 5 points for Asia. Then we have 3 games developed in the United States, all scoring 88. Dispatch, Sword of the Sea, and A Biotic Factor, all adding 5 points for North America. And finally, the only game on this list from my home country, Finland, Sectori, also scored 88 points, giving Europe 5 points. Next up, we have 2 games tied on the 9th place. First is Despelote. This one is a bit tricky. While parts of the development involve the US, the game is deeply rooted in Ecuadorian culture, created by Ecuadorian developers, set in Ecuador, and widely recognized as an Ecuadorian game. Because of that, I'm counting it as a South American title and not North American. Alongside, it is The Seance of Blake Manor. Hopefully I said that right. This game was developed in Spain, so that earns 7 points for Europe. And at 6th place, we have 3 games tied. First is Hollow Knight Silksong, developed in Australia. And then we have Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, developed in Czechia, earning 10 points for Europe. And Death Stranding, developed in Japan, earns 10 points for Asia. Moving into the low 90s, we hit 4th place with 2 games that received a Metacritic score of 91 this year. First up, Donkey Kong Bonanza, developed in Japan, earns 13 points for Asia, and then Split Fiction, developed in Sweden, earns 13 points for Team Europe. In 2nd place, we again have a tie of games that scored 92 points in Metacritic. First, Expedition 33 was developed in France, earning 20 points for Team Europe, and then Blueprints, developed in the United States, earning 20 points for Team North America. And finally, at the very top of the list, with a very high Metacritic score of 95, the highest ranked game in this category is Hades 2, developed in the United States, and that game earns full 25 points for Team North America. When we add up all the points from the top 15 games on Metacritic, the picture becomes very clear. North America finishes with 60 points, especially thanks to Hades 2. Europe follows closely with 55 points, and Asia comes in with 28 points. That means this category is won by North America, and it receives 2 points for winning this category. And Europe gets 1 point for finishing second, and in this category, Asia doesn't get any points. So after 2 rounds, here's how the things stand. Europe is still leading with 3 points, North America moves up to second with 2 points, and Asia sits at 1 point. Next up, we move on to Metacritic user scores. Starting in 15th place, we have Sword of the Sea, which received a user score of 85 on Metacritic. That puts it at the bottom of the top 15, earning 1 point for North America. Moving up the list, we reach 11th place, where 4 games are tied. Because 11th place earns 5 points, each of these games gets 5 points for its continent. First, Hades 2, developed in the United States, earns 5 points for North America. Split Fiction, developed in Sweden, earns 5 points for Europe. And Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, developed in Japan, earns 5 points for Asia. And also Victory Road, also developed in Japan, earns another 5 points for Asia as well. Next up, in 10th place, we have Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which scored 87 on Metacritic user reviews. That earns 6 points for Europe. After that, we move into a 3-way tie for 7th place, with 3 games all scoring 88 on Metacritic user scores. What's interesting here is that all these 3 games were developed in Japan, meaning they all earn points for Asia. Death Stranding 2, Kirby Air Riders, and Sonic Racing. Moving up to 5th place, we have 2 games tied with a user score of 89. First, Hollow Knight Silksong, developed in Australia, and Look Outside, developed in Canada, earns 11 points for Team North America. Next up, we have a tie for 3rd place with 2 games scoring 90 points in Metacritic user score. First, Donkey Kong Bonanza was developed in Japan, that earned 16 points for Asia. And then Dispatch was developed in the USA, and that earns 16 points for Team North America. In 2nd place, with a strong user score of 92, we have Digimon Story Time Stranger, developed in Japan, that earns 20 points for Team Asia. And finally, at number 1, by a clear margin, with a Metacritic user score of 96. The top-ranked game in this category is Expedition 33, developed in France, that earns the full 25 points for Team Europe and closes out the Metacritic user score category in a big way. When we add up all the user score points, the outcome is actually interesting. Even though Expedition 33 won by a country mile at the very top, the overall picture tells a different story. A lot of the highest ranked user favorite games came from Japan, and that really adds up. When all the points are counted, Asia finishes first with 73 points, and Europe comes second with 36 points, and North America finishes third with 33 points. So despite Europe having the single highest rated game, Asia clearly dominates when it comes to player reception overall. That means for Metacritic user score category, Asia gets 2 points, Europe gets 1 point, and North America gets none. After 3 categories, here's how the leaderboard looks. Europe is still in the lead with 4 points. Asia moves up to 3 points after winning the user score category, and North America now sits at 2 points. Next up, we move on to most sold console games in North America and Europe based on Newzoo's data. And this is where things actually start to look very different. There are no ties here. This is a straight top 10, and I'm using the same point system as before, where higher placement means more points. At number 10, we have Borderlands 4, developed in the United States. That earns 6 points for North America. At number 9 is Pokemon Legends Z2A, developed in Japan, earning 7 points for Asia. Number 8 is Call of Duty, developed primarily in the United States, earning 8 points for Team North America. And at number 7, we have EA Sports College Football, another North American developed title, earning 9 points for North America. In 6th place, we have Assassin's Creed Shadows, 5th MLB The Show 25, and 4 Madden NFL 26, all games developed in North America. This is where you really see how dominant sports games are on consoles. They sell year after year, make huge amounts of money, and it's easy to see why publishers like EA keep investing so heavily in them. In third place, we finally see Europe enter the very top. Battlefield 6, developed in Sweden, earns 16 points for Team Europe. At number 2 is NBA 2K26. And at number 1, the best-selling console game in North America and Europe is EA Sports FC 26. So even though it's a very Europe-style game, it's primarily developed in Vancouver, Canada, which means it earns the full top points for North America. So when it comes to console sales, this category is dominated by North America, especially by sports games. You can absolutely argue about quality, innovation, and yearly releases, but one thing is clear, these games sell, and they sell really well. When we total up all the points from the top 10 best-selling console games in North America and Europe, the result isn't even close. North America absolutely dominates this category with 102 points. Europe finishes second with 16 points, largely thanks to Battlefield 6. And Asia comes in third with 7 points, mainly from Pokemon. So for this category, North America gets 2 points, Europe gets 1 point, and Asia doesn't get any points. After adding the console sales category, here's the updated leaderboard. Europe leads with 5 points, now North America moves up to second with 4 points, and Asia stays close behind with 3 points. Now, to keep things fair, we can't only look at console sales in North America and Europe. We also need to look at Japan, which is one of the most important console markets in the world. So let's take a look at the top 10 most sold games in Japan. And honestly, the pattern here is very clear. At number 10, we have Fantasy Life, developed in Japan. At number 9 is Demon Slayer, also developed in Japan. And at number 8, we get the only non-Japanese developed game in the entire top 10, Ghost of Yotei, which is developed in North America, but funnily enough is the story takes place in Japan. So that earns points for North America, and that's it. That's the exception. Every other game from here is developed in Japan. On 7th to 4th place, we have Kirby Air Riders, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Monster Hunter Wilds, all massive Japanese franchises, all performing extremely well in their home market. 3rd place, we have Monster Hunter Wilds, once again showing how dominant Capcom series is in Japan. And at number 2 is Pokemon, no surprises there. And at number 1 is Mario Kart World. So when it comes to console gaming in Japan, the takeaway is pretty simple. Japanese players strongly support Japanese developed games, especially long-running Nintendo and Capcom franchises. There's global appeal here, but the home market loyalty is incredibly strong. And that makes Japan a very different console market compared to North America and Europe. So for the console sales in Japan, the result is very clear. Because of the list is almost entirely dominated by Japanese developed games, Asia comfortably wins this category. Asia takes 2 points, North America earns 1 point thanks to Ghost of Yotei, and Europe gets 0 points in this category. So after this category, the leaderboard is completely tied. North America has 5 points, Europe has 5 points as well, and Asia 5 points. 3 continents are dead even, but we still have 2 categories left. Next up, we move on to the most sold games on Steam. And Steam just released top 12 games that generated the most revenue, but we don't know the exact order yet. So for this category, instead of a top 10, we are looking at the top 12 highest earning games on Steam and comparing which continents are represented at the top the most. In the top 12, Asia is represented by 2 games, Elden Ring Night Reign and Monster Hunter Wilds. Strong titles, but with only 2 games in the top group, Asia doesn't earn points in this category. Europe, on the other hand, has 4 games in the top 4. So Dune Awakening made in Norway, Battlefield 6 and Ark Raiders made in Sweden, and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 made in Czech Republic, or Czechia nowadays. And North America, on the other hand, has 4 games, Civilization 7, Borderlands 4, and EAFC 26. However, we don't count remakes and remasters. That was one of the rules. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion doesn't count in this category. That means that Europe wins this category with 4 games in the top 12 of the most sold games on Steam, or the games that generated the most revenue, and North America finishes second and Asia finishes last. So for this category, Europe gets 2 points, North America gets 1 point, and Asia gets none. So here are the standings before the final category. Europe has total 7 points, North America has 6 points, and Asia has 5 points. Everything's still very close, and it all comes down to the one final category. Next up, the most played games on Steam. So unlike console gaming, it's very hard to get accurate player numbers across different platforms, but Steam is excellent for this. We get real, transparent data on what people are actually playing, not just what they bought. So for this category, we're looking at the top 15 most played games on Steam this year, ranked by player activity, and once again, assigning points based on position. At number 15, we have Dune Awakening, developed in Norway. That earns 1 point for Europe. And at 14th, we have Stellar Blade, developed in South Korea, earning 2 points for Asia. At number 13, Dispatch, developed in the United States, earns 3 points for North America. And at number 12, we have Where Winds Meet, that was developed in China. That earns 4 points for Asia. And then from 11th to 8th place, we have a strong European presence. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 earns 5 points for Europe. Split Fiction earns 6 points for Europe. Repo, or REPO, earns 8 points for Europe. And Escape from Duckov earns 8 points for Europe. And at number 7 is Borderlands 4, developed in the US, earning 9 points for North America. In 6th place, we have Elden Ring, earning 10 points for Asia. And at number 5, Schedule 1, developed in Australia. In 4th place, we have Arc Raiders, developed in Sweden, earns 13 points for Europe. In 3rd place, we have Hollow Knight Silksong, developed in Australia. At number 2, Battlefield 6, developed in Sweden, earning a huge 20 points for Europe. And finally, the most played game on Steam in this data set, even though player numbers dropped a bit after launch, actually quite a bit, the peak was massive. At number 1 is Monster Hunter World, earning the full 25 points for Asia. So after looking at the most played games on Steam, this category turns out to be a big one for Europe. Games like Battlefield 6, Arc Raiders did a huge amount of heavy lifting here, consistently sitting near the top of the player charts and driving Europe's score up. When all the points are added together, Europe finishes first with 60 points, Asia comes second with 41 points, and North America finishes third with 12 points. For the final category, Europe gets 2 points, Asia gets 1 point, and North America gets 0 points. So, final results. Best gaming continent of 2025. Drumroll. In second place, both North America and Asia have 6 points, and at number 1, Europe has 9 points. So according to this table, Europe is the best continent in gaming in 2025. So Europe takes the win in 2025, not because of one single game, but because of the consistent performance across critics, players, console sales, and PC engagement. And just to say this again, this was all for fun. Great games come from everywhere. And 2025 was honestly an incredible year for gaming worldwide. I personally don't really care where the games come from, as long as they're fun and engaging. But it's still fun to look at where a lot of the games that I love this year come from. That said, even knowing I might be a bit biased as a European, this result does feel accurate to me. 2025 really felt like a European year. Expedition 33 didn't just win Game of the Year, it won a record number of awards. European games also dominated multiplayer engagement, and big shout out to Sweden, actually, my lovely neighbor. They had 3 highly popular multiplayer games: Battlefield 6, Arc Raiders, and Split Fiction. That actually could be another topic for a video. How does Sweden make so many multiplayer games and how they become so popular? And of course, there was also Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 was another excellent and very popular release. So I could say it really felt like this year was Europe's year. But then again, we had great North American games. We had great games from Japan, great games from Asia. I think China is going to start developing more and more great games. Looking forward to that one. I love Black Myth Wukong. I think that was my favorite to win Game of the Year the year before. And 2026 is going to look very exciting. Europe is going to have some really strong games with GTA 6, Control, James Bond looks pretty interesting. But personally, the game that I'm looking forward the most is Resident Evil 9. I'm a massive Resident Evil fan. I think that game is going to be amazing. Anyway, let me know what you think. Do you feel like 2025 really was a strong year for European developers? Or did you prefer the Japanese releases more? Or maybe the indie games coming out of North America were the real highlights for you? Like I said, this video was just for fun, but I genuinely love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment and tell me which continent you think had the best year or which game stood out the most for you. And also let me know what you think about the categories I used. I know it's far from perfect. I try to do a lot of research, but there's a lot of things that I had to ignore or change as well. Is there something important I should have included or something you would have weighted differently? I'll be honest, I'm a bit of a data nerd. I love stats and comparisons, and I know my point system might have been a little bit confusing at times, but I hope at least some of you enjoyed this way of breaking things down. If you did, leave a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.